Hi, and welcome back to Fan the Flame Dates. I'm Scott Phillips with House on the Rock Family Ministries. In this video, I'd like to talk about another one of those important principles of family life, and that is parenting as a team. Professional wrestling became hugely popular in the mid-'80s with the involvement of pop singer Cyndi Lauper and TV actor Mr. T as they helped to introduce it to the masses. And my brothers and I, we were big fans of Hulk Hogan, Hillbilly Jim, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and all the other heroes of the World Wrestling Federation. Now today, I won't let our kids watch wrestling as the sexuality and language are far too extreme for my taste. One of my favorite types of matches involved tag teams. Two pair of wrestlers would square off with two of the combatants in the ring while their respective partners stood just outside the ropes. Whenever one of the in-ring wrestlers found himself in trouble, he tagged his partner who would then enter the ring to take his place. And while I'm no advocate of today's professional wrestling entertainment, tag team wrestling is a good metaphor for parenting. The stay-at-home parent spends all day wrestling with the kids and is looking for the partner to tag in when the working parent arrives at home. And tagging in needs to involve more than just laying down the law to the children who've misbehaved, the old just wait till your father gets home. Now, I've been on both sides of the ropes, and sometimes when I was home, I needed Mary to just take the kids for a little while so I could recuperate. And on more than one occasion, I've taken the kids and just cleared out of the house so she could have some time to herself. Andy Stanley wrote in the book Choosing to Cheat that his wife needed him at home during the 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. time frame. That is so true. Trying to cook a nice supper while having kids hanging on your legs, trying to get homework done, or just generally screaming for your attention is nerve-wracking, tiring, and above all, frustrating. Mary and I have sort of reached an understanding that when one of us comes home and the other declares, "I'm done," that is time for a tag. Both Proverbs 1:8, which says, "Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and do not forsake your mother's teaching," and Proverbs 6:20, "My son, keep your father's commands and do not forsake your mother's teaching," clearly demonstrate that both mom and dad are to be involved in the instruction and training of their children. You know, in many other Near East cultures of the day, the instruction of children was solely the father's job. But God, in His infinite wisdom, instructs that both parents are to be involved with the task. Of course, in our modern Western culture, the mom usually does not need to be reminded of her role as a parent. And not surprisingly, virtually all secular and sacred research points to having both parents involved in raising their children as the number one indicator for a child's success. Yes, there are certainly family situations where having both parents consistently involved in the raising of children is simply not possible. And single parents have a tough job, and they need all the encouragement and support that they can get. Just as challenging, however, are those family situations where there appears to be just a single parent, even if both mom and dad are around. So I'd like to go over some 3 tag team essentials. And the first one is loving your spouse. The first thing that our children need to be reminded of regularly is that mom and dad love each other. While our kids may recoil if they see mom and dad showing each other affection, and my kids have been known to run out of the room when Mary and I kiss, secretly, they love seeing it because it reassures them that their family is going to stay together. Our kids understand all too well what happens when a marriage is in trouble or dissolves because they see the results in their schools, on their sports teams, and in their neighborhoods. Theodore Hesburgh, the longtime president of the University of Notre Dame, is famously quoted as saying, "The most important thing that a father can do for his children is love their mother." In order to be a great parent, we must first be a great spouse. For some parents, particularly moms, there is a strong temptation to place a higher priority on their kids' lives than their marriage, and misplaced priorities have harmed many families. Couples who do not make their marriage a top priority in the home risk slowly drifting apart year by year until they're essentially roommates with children. Marriages in the empty nest years have the second highest divorce rate, trailing only newlyweds, mainly because many couples keep their marriage going solely for the sake of the children. And what these couples fail to realize is the emotional and spiritual damage that growing up in a home with parents who do not love each other can cause. It is God's plan for couples to prioritize their relationship. Why? Because the kids will eventually leave. Genesis 2:24 states, "For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh." When our kids are gone, it will be just dad and mom. We need to focus on our marriage to survive the inevitable sense of loss that becoming empty nesters will bring. If we truly love our kids, we will first love our spouse. Well, the second tag team essential is love your kids. Our kids need to be constantly reminded of two things in order to feel safe and secure at home. The first is that both mom and dad love them. I cannot stress enough the importance of telling our kids that we love them. I make it a point to tell our kids that I love them at least once a day, and I strive for more than that. For many dads, actually saying the words, "I love you," is difficult. It doesn't seem like the most manly thing to say. And we may not have grown up in a home where our dad said it a lot, or frankly, ever. Whatever the reason for our hesitation, dads, we need to overcome it. Too often when I speak to groups about parenting, I have someone come to me and say something to the effect of, "I never knew if my dad loved me or not." That pain from that neglect often lasts until adulthood. And tag team essential number 3 is, well, we need a plan. Very few of us would start a huge undertaking without a plan for success. But many parents seem to raise their kids without any planning at all. What do you want your children to look like when they turn 18, when they graduate school? What values do you want them to have? What character traits do you want them to develop? And what skills and abilities do you want them to possess? Man, these are some big questions, and they need answers. And coming up with those answers and then having your children attain the values, the abilities, and the character traits that you desire for them doesn't happen by accident. Some real thought needs to be put into how you're going to train your children in those areas. And both parents need to know the plan. Now, admittedly, suggesting that you have to have a plan for your kids seems a bit cold and distant. And it certainly doesn't seem very loving at first glance. After all, our kids are not machines, and they certainly don't come with a blueprint or instruction manual. But when we take a closer look at how we are going to go about raising our kids, I believe that we'll quickly see how loving it is to have a plan. As parents, we need to sit down and have some long discussions about what our hopes and dreams are for our kids. Once we have at least a general idea of what those hopes are, we need to consider what kinds of activities, learning experiences, and responsibilities our kids should have in order to realize those hopes. For example, what will teach your children diligence and personal discipline? What will teach them teamwork and valuing others? Playing sports would help in those areas, and so would learning an instrument or taking part in a drama production. Does your child need to play 3 different sports or participate in all 3 activities to learn those character traits? Perhaps, but then again, perhaps not. Those questions will need to be answered by both of you, and a wide range of factors like your child's interests, your family schedule, and the available opportunities will help you determine those answers. Very few firm and fast rules exist when it comes to parenting. And I often joke that the answer to any parenting question is, it depends. The truth is, however, that it depends is often the correct answer. And that's why parenting is so fun and challenging. Your kids, your family, your situation, they're all unique. So I encourage you to sit down together and talk through your parenting plan. Perhaps even write down some things. Set some goals for the coming months and share them with your kids. Explain to them why you are doing what you are doing and invite their input for the decision-making process. If you've been the parent who has been missing in action, don't give up. It's never too late to get involved with your kids. If it's been a while since you've really engaged, don't worry if that connection you're seeking doesn't happen right away. Give it time and the relationship will begin to grow again and eventually flourish. If you've been the engaged parent and your partner has been disengaged, invite and encourage your partner to jump on in. Sometimes a disengaged parent may see that the engaged parent has things under control and be afraid that his or her involvement will only cause problems. Other times, the engaged parent may feel that it's just easier to parent alone. Whatever the situation may be, recommit to parenting as a team and with a plan. So, I invite you to spend some time discussing the knee-to-knee, nose-to-nose questions that we've prepared for you and talk about parenting as a tag team and begin to develop your parenting plan for your children. We'll be praying for your discussion as you continue to seek to build your relationship. Thanks for watching and keep building your house on the rock.